Have you enjoyed having that couple of weeks on the training ground with the players?
Yeah, it's been good. I think if you would have asked me the question, after the Gillingham game, I probably would have been slightly frustrated because obviously, the performance was decent. I thought there was only one side that wanted to win the game, and there was a feel-good factor within the group. But having had the opportunity to work with them for a couple of weeks now, it's been good. I think the players have enjoyed it and obviously chomping at the bit to get back on the field.
What's been your main focus in training?
Lots really, with 3 or 4 different things. Certainly, the one thing that we are frustrated at the minute is not converting chances. I think that's fair to say. So that's been high on the agenda. Doing lots of practices where they get the opportunity to hit the back of the net. I think the majority of the other parts of the game have been very good, but just getting the minutes on the field with them, really, not worrying about preparing for a game. Even the Saturday, Tuesday games, you only get a certain amount of quality time with the players because obviously you're worried about the next game.
Injury-wise, is everything cleared up?
No. There's no point prolonging it. Last night we found out that Tyrese has I have to get the wording right here, slight fracture in a tarsal bone, I believe is the phrase, but don't quote me on it. So it looks very unlikely that he'll feature again this season.
How big a blow is that?
It's a massive blow. Yeah, it's a massive blow. But it's a big blow for us, for the player, for the squad, for everybody. But I think first and foremost, I hope he gets himself sorted as quick as he possibly can. Because we'd like to think that we've built a relationship, or I know for a fact we've built a relationship up with Arsenal that will last many years, because of the way we've treated Tyrese, the way he's enjoyed himself and the way he's conducted himself.
Was that an injury that he had before, or is this something he picked up in the 2 weeks?
No, he obviously the initial one, I think he trained about 8 or 9 days or so ago. It was the day we had the Sheffield United friendly, can't remember when that was now, and he got a kick on the top of his foot, which obviously resulted in the initial X-ray didn't really show anything, but that can happen obviously with them type of injuries. And then he had a MRI yesterday, and it's shown up that there's a slight fracture in it.
Alan Sheehan's been brought into the club. Why?
Because we need, first and foremost, more senior players with his type of ilk. He's a great pro on the pitch. He's an even better pro off the pitch. And when there's an opportunity to bring that type of quality, first and foremost, promoted out of this league last season, to a club like us, even on a short-term deal, you don't say no to it.
Are you hoping that it could be something that if he does well in this next couple of months that you would look at again for next season?
Definitely. I'm hoping that's in his thoughts as well. I'm sure it is after the conversations we've had. But it won't be the be-all and end-all. I think the most important thing is that he stays fit and available for the selection for us because, like I say, he's a top professional. But more importantly, he's got real quality.
And is he good to go for the weekend?
He is.
People will see left-sided centre-half coming in and not see Jason Shackle, obviously last time against Gillingham, and talk about his future. What is his future at Lincoln?
Future at Lincoln?
Yeah.
There isn't a future at Lincoln.
Okay. Is he not around anymore then?
No, I mean, there's a discussion at the minute with the football club and his representatives. And I think it was a discussion that happened with myself and Shax, which was very amicable, very honest. And an outcome that I think suits all parties.
And was that down to his performances on the pitch? Has that been the key behind it?
Majority probably. Obviously, he's had a mixed season. There's been a lot of transition at the football club. which has suited some players more than others. And, you know, because of his age, he's, you know, whether he's going to be playing beyond this season, I'm not too sure. But having discussions with him when I first come in, I think that would be highly unlikely. So, yeah, I think it was just a dead honest conversation between two people who, you know, spoke their minds, and we come to the right conclusion.
Burton Albion this weekend, an experienced side, good side at this level. What are you expecting from them?
Well, they're a good side. They are a good side, and they're managed by a very experienced manager. Decent footballing side. They're able to change shape, okay, which they have done over the last couple of games. So it'll be interesting to see if they go a 3 or a 4. Good footballing side. I think we found out that when we went down to their place. We were fortunate enough to take the lead really early in the game that gave us a base and a platform to play from. We had to defend for long spells in that game, which you probably expect away from home anyway. But yeah, they've got some good players, good talent. Obviously, they lost Boyce in January, which was a big blow to them. But obviously, bringing the likes of Murphy in, who's had an outstanding start to his time at Burton, makes him very dangerous.
I was going to say, he's been brought in from Scottish Premier League at Rangers. Is that something as a club you might look at in the future, trying to get players in from Scotland as well as here in England at the top clubs?
Absolutely, I've done it before. You know, you only got to look at the likes of Marvin Johnson, that we took him from Motherwell when I was at Oxford and sold for £2.5 million. So, you know, I'm aware of that market, and it's a market that certainly we can compete with financially. You know, I think that's probably the biggest thing why a lot of League Two and League One clubs especially are able to take players from Scotland. Because I think if you take out the likes of Celtic and Rangers, possibly Aberdeen, but I think they're nowhere near, obviously, the big two, then you do have a chance of bringing players down from Scotland.
Lovely, thank you.
Michael, you mentioned a potential future relationship with Arsenal. Presumably that means future loans if all goes well?
Definitely, absolutely. You know, and listen, at the end of the day, I know Arsenal have got massive hopes for the likes of Tyrese, so I'm not saying for 1 second that we're able to bring Tyrese back possibly at the start of next season, but you never know. But they have got some talented players that we're aware of, and like I say, you know, I know for a fact that they're delighted the way the relationship has gone so far in terms of the communication and the information that they've received us from a daily basis on what Tyrese is up to and what he's doing.
Do you hope to have that kind of relationship with other Premier League clubs or Championship clubs as well, and have you got that as well?
Yeah, I think I've already got that, and it's interesting because, you know, you look at some of the business that we did do in January. West Ham is a club that previous to me coming here, we'd only took one player from, Tony Martinez, who had a really good spell with us at Oxford previously. So the likes of Man City, United and certainly Everton are certainly clubs that we've taken players from before and had a good relationship with, and don't see any reason why that can't happen and continue again in the summer.
On Jason Shackle, doesn't sound like those conversations difficult, just straight?
They're difficult conversations, but I think I said it before, if you're straight with people and tell people how it is and you're honest with people, they can get frustrated with you and disappointed and even angry, but the reality is, I think when you sit down on the cold light of day, I think you get respect, and whether, you know, Shaq's at this moment in time is annoyed, angry, or just accepting of the conversation we had, ultimately one thing I can guarantee is that, you know, it was an honest one. So sometimes the most difficult, the most honest conversations can be the most difficult ones, but I'm quite comfortable having a difficult conversation.
On the strikers that are available, I suppose extra expectation and onus on them between now and the end of the season? There
is, and you know, sometimes that can be a really good thing. What I would say, obviously, from Hops' point of view, I think the last couple of games, the Accrington and the Gillingham game, I think we've seen what he's more than capable of doing. I know people will look and expect goals from a number 9, and Hops will score a lot of goals for us. You know, he really will. He's not going to be the one and probably taking a little bit of pressure off him here. He's not going to be the one that's going to get you 20 on a season, but he's more than capable of getting double figures every season. So as long as we give him the right opportunities, which we will do, the likes of him, Jake, and certainly Scully. Scully will have to play in a more central role at times, and maybe even as a 9 at times if Tom's having a poor spell.
And I guess the onus isn't just on the strikers, that you need more goals from all over the pitch.
Absolutely, yeah. And I see it every day in training, so there's no excuses why they shouldn't be able to do it in the games as well. And you look at likes of Harry. Harry scored a few this year. George Grant, he's capable of scoring goals like he's shown at previous clubs. The midfield players have got to come in with their fair share, and obviously when we get set plays, there's a reason why you send your defenders up at times for set plays, because you expect them to score.
Really, thanks, Michael.
Michael, with regards to Alan Sheehan, he's obviously not had the game time so much this year, but with a player of his experience, you're obviously confident that won't be a concern.
No, I obviously spoke to a lot of people at Luton, a lot of the players who work with him, a couple of members of staff. He's obviously been training most days anyway. The type of player he is, with the experience that he's got, he'll be one of them players who just gets in the right areas, really. Doesn't have to run as much as other players who are still learning the game, centre-halves who are really keen to go and kick and fight for every ball. What he will do is he'll put himself in good positions where he has to defend at the right time. I think the biggest thing that you'll see from Alan, above all else, is his quality on the ball. Second to none. At this level, you'll see it. He's got a wonder of a left foot. Whether it's 5 yards or 55 yards, he'll put it on a 50-pence piece.
We obviously, in the window, we brought in some younger defensive players. Has there been a temptation to have a bit more of a look at them with the 10 games remaining, or is it a case of only when it's right?
Yeah, I think only when it's right. I think the reality is that I won't be taking any unnecessary risk until I think we're in a position where we're comfortable.
From what you've seen of Tyrese over the last few months, how bright a future lies ahead for him?
I think he's got a big future. I think a lot of people will look at it and see him getting into positions where he's had opportunities and he's not taken the opportunities, which happens. That'll happen with senior players, never mind young players. But I think the biggest thing that's impressed me is his work rate, his quality of runs, and probably how much he's prepared to mix it up. I think there's been occasions over the last 6 weeks or so where he's come up against centre-halves who've wanted to give him a bit of a kick, him a bit of a hard time, and he's stood up to it, and he's given as good as he's got.
Change topic slightly. World Book Day today, Michael.
I believe so, yeah.
Kids at school in particular. Are you an avid reader, and who's your favourite author, or is there any sporting book that inspired you?
Well, I'm not a massive reader, Chris. I'm not massive, so I couldn't give you the lowdown on any authors and bestsellers or anything like that. But what I do read when I do get the opportunity, probably sounds a little bit boring, but a lot of leadership type books. And there's been some fantastic books that I have read from not just football background, sports background, leadership. I think one that played a massive part in a lot of the success we had at my previous club was the book Legacy by James Kerr, and to the point where I think I've already mentioned this, I sent him an email one day I got his email address off a friend of mine, and sent an email address and explained to him that I was trying to implement a lot of his leadership. It's like a 15-point leadership skills, and I tried to use a lot of them at Oxford. And I didn't expect a reply, but I got a reply within a couple of weeks, and within about a month he was at Oxford speaking to the whole football club, talking about how and why they're so important to the All Blacks, and it's something that they've used over a number of years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.